deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest is deeper than music, deeper than music. The core of you, the fans, the truth is deeper than music, deeper than music. Simply the truth is the latest, the newest is deeper than music, deeper than music.
What up, what up, what up? It's your man, Furious, Deeper Than Music. Behind every great song, there's an even greater story. I like to say what's up to everybody listening to us on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and also check us out on the Nias Media Roku channel. Today we have Arcade Cabinet Crew and then also Dino, FinalCut FIlm Reviews. And Dino, I'll go ahead and let you take it over, mate. Go ahead.
Thanks, Marcus. So I thought it'd make a bit of a change if instead of going into multiple discussions, we focus on one set of films in a franchise. And we basically will say what we like about it, what we hate about it, rip it apart, praise the man who made it, etc., etc. So our first one actually is a Star Wars franchise, both Disney and George Lucas. This can include movies. It can also include any of the TV series because there has been quite a few. And I probably know for a fact that Michael has watched a lot of them, so he is the expert on that department. So then, gentlemen, who would like to start?
I would like to say to hell with Jar Jar Binks. I hated his ass.
Jar Jar will remember this.
In all honesty, there's been so many leaks about early plot developments that the original draft of the prequel trilogy would have Jar Jar Binks actually be Darth Sidious's Sith Master.
I heard that.
You guys have read this, right? Like, that would have been a great turn, and all his stumbling and mumbling and accidents would not have been. But George Lucas chickened out because everyone hated Jar Jar so much.
I hated him. I'll happily put my hand up on that. He was an annoyance.
Okay, so look, I have opinions on Star Wars. I love Star Wars. You know, it's one a year we sit down and we watch all the Star Wars movies, and I've done that with my kids since they were babies. When we first started, there was only 3 movies to watch, and then we kept adding more movies to it. I enjoy the original trilogy. I think, obviously, it's the best one. Empire is the greatest Star Wars movie, period. But when you look at the prequel trilogy with George Lucas, he brought in Darth Maul, who is probably the best villain in Star Wars, besides Darth Vader, and killed him off in one movie. And to me, that was kind of unforgivable. And I kind of stumbled through the rest of the prequel trilogy because of that. Yeah. Disney trilogy, I mean, it's basically a retelling and a slap together of a couple of ideas. I don't like them. I don't think they're particularly good movies. I think we got really ripped off with the third movie by Disney. It was weak all the way around. Just not a fan. I'm an original trilogy guy.
Yeah, likewise. And I like, what was the third one, where we saw how Anakin became Darth Vader? How many of you guys felt like that whole fight scene and everything? I felt cheated. That's how he became Darth Vader, but
Yeah. But the thing is, George Lucas had all these decades to work at to say, right, he's going to turn this way. And that's literally what we ended up with. In fact, there is actually something you need to know about Darth Maul, Bill, is that in Star Wars, was it the Clone Wars phrase? He actually came
Clone Wars, the animated series.
He came back.
I am familiar, but not enough for me, man. Just not enough. Like, he should have been represented through all 3 of the prequel trilogy movies. Bigger, because he was a fantastic character. He was visually appealing. Ray Parks, who played him, is an expert martial artist. Very impressive. Yeah, and it's just, they had this one beautiful thing and decided not to capitalize on it.
Are you
George
talking
Lucas
about,
is like, kill him.
is that the Dark Sith? You talking about the first of the trilogy, the prequel?
Yeah.
Yeah, the red and black
face looks like a demon. Like a demon.
Yo, he was bad. I ain't gonna lie. When he got caught, yeah, exactly. Because I was like, man, he's bad. And then they just offed him. Like, I would agree.
I think the reason everybody didn't like him is because he killed Liam Neeson off.
So what, man? That just showed how powerful he was. You know what I don't like is Obi-Wan barely squeaked out a win with Qui-Gon with him, but yet when you get down to the Clone Wars, he fights Darth Maul again and handles him easily. Come on, he didn't jump up in skill that much. Obi-Wan was not that good.
Right.
Not to mention General Grievous as well, and General Grievous had the reputation as a Jedi Knight killer as well.
I had I had high hopes for that General Grievous character when I first seen him like in a magazine versus when I seen him. I mean, I'm sorry, when I seen him in the movie. I really had high hopes for General Grievous because I mean he had 4 arms, so therefore he had 4 lightsabers.
Yeah.
And he just got shot down. I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had 4 arms and mesothelioma. You know, he's wheezing through the whole thing. That guy's entitled to compensation if anybody is.
I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the guy who did Samurai Jack actually did a short version of the Clone Wars. And in that, I can't remember the name of the guy who voiced him, but he was right vicious in that. He really was.
Yeah.
What did you guys think about? And I want to say before I say his name, what did you guys think about? He should have had a lightsaber that said "Bad MF" on it. Samuel Jackson in Star Wars. How'd you guys feel about that?
I'm not Samuel Jackson in Star Wars.
You know,
and yeah, he should have had. I might be crazy, but I heard a rumor that is engraved on his handle. I might be crazy, but I really think that's a legit rumor. But he actually talked to George Lucas and talked him into the purple lightsaber so he could find himself in group fight scenes.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow. Mm.
Yeah. And I went to Disney, and believe it or not, I actually made a purple lightsaber. I thought that was a cool. I mean, you know, to see that at first, it kind of threw me off guard because I was like, "Whoa, we got a purple one now." You know, because before they were like red, green, and blue.
Right.
When you went straight back to prequels, there was a lot of other colours as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When what we're seeing more now, and I think Samuel Jackson really started to kick that off, was especially with Disney owning the movies now, you're starting to see cameos. Whereas Samuel Jackson had a role, it wasn't just a cameo, but if you watch the new trilogy, the first one, The Force Awakens, when Rey is tied to the chair and she tells the guy, you know, you're going to let me out this chair and you're going to give me my weapon back, and he says, I'm going to let you out the chair, I'll give you your weapon back. It's Daniel Craig that plays James Bond. But he was under James Bond contract, which means he couldn't act in another movie. It has some name on the credits, but his part name is like STM-007.
Oh,
and then a made-up name after that.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
I mean, Samuel Jackson went to George Lucas. He's like, hey, I just want to be in a movie. I'll do anything. I'll be a stormtrooper, you know? And I get that.
I'll tell you what I didn't like about it. You know, I'm not. I guess as far as the movies go, I see it for what it is. The original trilogy is my favorite because that's what I grew up with, and I watched them out of context. I watched Empire Strikes Back, then I seen Jedi, then I seen the original Star Wars. But over that, you know, watching the final trilogy, you know, I mean, I enjoyed Force Awakens. So I was like, okay, it was cool for what it was. It's like they go through this entire movie because you ready to see Luke Skywalker, and you finally get him in the end, And then when you get to the next part of the movie, it's like he was totally useless. And then they killed him off at the end. I was not happy with that at all.
I hated that movie, man. I ain't gonna lie. I hated that movie. I hated that island that he was on. I hated it.
I wasn't particular about that. And then, like, when they made the final movie, you know, he came back as the ghost. I mean, it's like I was ready to watch Luke Skywalker, you know, do his thing, you know, like one last time. But I was like, we'll never get that now. Of course, now I do like The Mandalorian. Those are good.
Yeah, that is.
The Mandalorian's great.
Yeah, that is Star Wars to me. And I heard that they also, in this next one that's coming out in October, they're gonna put in Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But I also heard that they fixed Luke Skywalker. He's gonna be in season 3. You know, because that's back when he was still alive doing his thing. So we're gonna supposedly, I read it, we're supposed to see Luke Skywalker and R2-D2. So I got high hopes for that, but I'm not gonna hold my breath either.
How'd you guys feel about? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say I have real high hopes for season 2 of Mandalorian for the simple fact that at the end of season 1, it was revealed that Giancarlo.
Yeah, if you haven't watched Mandalorian, just plug your fingers in your ears.
How do you guys?
Let's just say the big bad guy of the season is Giancarlo Esposito, and I am such a huge fan of his. And he's going to carry into the second season. Hopefully he stays on the show for a long time. I mean, the guy is an amazing actor. Everything he's ever done is great. For those that don't know, he played Gustavo Fring in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
I didn't watch those.
How do you guys feel about
also filling in the next Far Cry video game as well?
Han Solo, the Han Solo movie? How do you guys feel about that? And how do you guys feel about if they go in a direction of making spin-offs based on the Star Wars characters? How would that be received by Star Wars fan in the franchise?
Right. I'll let everyone else go because I will be a long time because I have serious views about this.
I have a short opinion on Solo, and all that my opinion is on that is it was decent. It was not exceptional. It was not amazing. It was not horrible. It was decent. It felt like plot filler. We didn't need the movie. It didn't do what the fans wanted it to do.
Okay. I will say this about it. My favorite part about that movie was when Darth Maul popped up at the end.
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Agreed.
Bring that character back. Because I'm going to be honest with you, next to Darth Vader, to me, Darth Maul is the most menacing character in the galaxy. I mean, because he has a double-bladed lightsaber. Now he has, like, those spider legs. You know, he's intimidating. And they don't need to kill... Like, they don't need to kill these characters off, especially so early on. You know, I mean, that can really carry it out. You know, just like the guy that's right now that you were just talking about from Breaking Bad at the end of the Mandalorian season. You know, carry him out. Don't kill him off. You know, because we need that. We need that bad guy that we love to hate. Mm-hmm. You know, and I feel like that carry. That's like having Bowser or Robotnik. You know, they always come back. You know, but you need that character, and I mean that does so much for it.
All right then, Mikey, since you've probably watched more Star Wars than just about any of us, because I know how much you love the animation, what would you say about the Star Wars franchise as a whole, both good and bad?
All right, first for Solo, I feel like we didn't actually need that movie because no one really seemed like we need to know why, like, Han's called Han and everything. I was more interested in Lando, if anything, in the movie, because the minute like Donald Glover walks in as Lando and he's owning every scene, I'm like, why? I'm like, I'd rather watch Lando, you know. But I think the problem with Star Wars now is due to the high level of nostalgia is held at. It's kind of impossible to really do Star Wars proper now. Like outside of the Mandalorian, like when you have people that actually care, I feel like with the way the fans are. Like how heavily they are passionate, which sometimes can cause things to get heated, that Star Wars is held at like a higher level than a lot of movie franchises.
I'll say this. To me, after watching, like, I'm not so much 1, 2, and 3, but after Return of the Jedi, for me, 7, 8, 9, I'm gonna kind of consider that fan fiction. So for me, Luke Skywalker is still that. I mean, I watch it, but like for me, it's fan fiction. You know, because I mean, I don't feel like these characters should have died off. You know, what they did with Han Solo. I wasn't happy about that. And then, of course, we actually lost Carrie Fisher, so we don't get her anymore.
Really, really bad, but
Right.
at least they still had footage of her, so she could actually still be in it for the last movie.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna consider those fan fiction. So for me, it ended when they were singing on Endor with Ewoks.
Yeah.
I think.
Right. What we're about to do is he's going to go through the movies that he knows, and I'm going to give one word answers. I will not be swearing any of them because, believe me, half of them I could actually swear at, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion of it. So whenever you're ready, Mark. I see you guys are already like, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? What's he going to say?
Oh, you said I asked you a question on a movie and you'll give me a one-word answer?
Yeah, so if you say 4, I'll give you my opinion, then 5, then 6, etc., etc.
Okay. So the first Star Wars.
Episode 4.
Yep.
Pretty good.
Okay, Empire Strikes Back.
Classic.
Return of the Jedi. I think that was my favorite. That was my favorite one.
What I will say is, I do love it. I think it's on par with 5. But I think the other thing is, after 5, it was very hard to topple because it's like.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll say great because I'm not quite sure what the next word down from a classic is.
Solo.
It rhymes with it.
Okay. Attack of the Clones.
All right.
Okay. I can't remember the name of the one with Jar Jar Binks and young Anakin.
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace, yeah.
Not bad.
And what was the one where everybody dies? Rogue.
Revenge of the Sith.
Was that the one? Was it Rogue One or Rogue?
Rogue
Yeah,
One.
that's Rogue One.
Was brilliant. Brilliant movie.
Agreed.
Okay.
Right, Revenge of the Sith, very dark. I know that's 2 words, but it was very, very dark. And I know a lot of the work that what's his name, Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor put into that last fight because they put a lot of work into it. So it was. So I'll say pretty good on that scale because that lightsaber fight they had to be choreographed and rehearsed a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
All-time favorite Star Wars movie?
5.
5.
Yeah.
And
Please tell me about the Disney ones because I really want to get these off my chest.
Oh.
I can't remember which ones the Disney ones were.
It's 7, 8.
So it was the last 3, right? It was the.
So 7.
Okay.
So
7,
7. 7 is basically episode 4. So I'll give you a clue.
3.
It rhymes with rap.
Crap. Okay.
Yeah. 8 is vomiting. I'm being nice when I say that. I could say a lot worse. And 9, I will simply say waste. It was wasted opportunity.
So let me ask you a question. With Disney owning Star Wars now, will it be watered down? Because now my question is, we've seen the last Star Wars. What's next?
Yeah.
What is next? Because you know they're going to regurgitate.
I'll tell you what I do know. Apparently, with Disney owning everything that 20th Century Fox had, mainly Deadpool, Deadpool will, as far as I'm aware, continue to be rated R. So if they can do that for Remote with a Mouth, there's no reason why they can't go a little bit rated R with Star Wars. But it's just a case of, do they want to?
Probably not. Well, Deadpool started out as a rated R. Star Wars is a family franchise. Disney's not going to mess with their family rating on something that's successful. I think they're going to continue to water it down until it's undrinkable.
Yeah.
And I think they're getting close to that point now with Episode 9 with Solo. Like, this Kool-Aid's getting thin.
Yeah,
It's getting real
it is.
thin.
It is.
I mean, with Solo,
I mean,
no one wanted it. I didn't think it wasn't exactly great, but it wasn't exactly a classic either. And there was nothing but problems with it. I think the two of the directors before Ron Howard took it over were meant to be, was it Chris Lord and, what's his partner's name? I think we did 21 Jump Street. They were supposed to be in it. They left. And apparently the guy who plays Han Solo couldn't get a decent Harrison Ford, say, charm and voice down. So it was plagued with problems before it even started.
Mm.
But I do appreciate the Lando Calrissian tale. I do actually. That's probably the one thing about Solo that I actually like.
It's like the one saving grace.
Yeah,
I would have been more interested to see a movie about Silicious Crumb than Han Solo's origin story.
The other saving grace is Daenerys Targaryen herself, Emilia Clarke, because she is so lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about the Christmas special?
And then whatever happened to Ewoks, man? When they gonna bring the Ewoks back?
I don't think
I hope never. I hope never.
They were good for one. They were good for one movie. That's how they should be left. Should be nothing else.
They were cannibals, man. They were eating people. They ate those stormtroopers at the end.
Has anybody been to
VHS.
the whole the Disneyland thing, the Disney World Star Wars thing? I want to check that out. I did the Star Tours.
I have.
Is it good?
I did not the new one. I went to the old one before they
Star Tours?
completely revamped everything. Yeah.
Star Tours. I did Star Tours. I like that. I like Star Tours.
Right.
it wasn't in commission when I went over there, but I did get to go around there, and I saw like they had the AT-ST Walker in the corner. They had like the big tree, and they had like a little store. But like I said, Star Tours wasn't operating when I went back there in 2011. It's stuff which I could have seen.
Mm.
I went to Disney World 21 years ago, and the only thing I really sort of remember from that was Jaws. This was before they actually bought Lucas. This was way before they bought LucasArts.
Yeah.
So as far as going to Disney World, this was before Star Wars, and I loved it immensely. So I'll hopefully go at some point, because I do want to see what's changed in 21 years.
Yeah, it's different. I've watched it.
I'll do like you, Sharon. I'll watch it on YouTube. But guess what? I've been to Disney several times, and I never intend on going back. Seriously, I'm not going to stand in those lines. The rides are cool, but they're not that cool, man. I'm too old and too grumpy for that now.
Yeah, I did. My last outing was Disney California Adventure, and when they had the Tower of Terror, we did the Tower of Terror like 3 times, and I'm good on Disney parks.
Yeah, my mother refused to go on that.
I may end up going to the new Legoland because they're building one 10 minutes from my house. A Legoland amusement park. Yeah, COVID didn't even slow down the building of that thing.
Universal Studios is doing Window
Yeah, I know. It looks great.
Yeah. Now, I've only, believe it or not, a lot of people, biased, a lot of people believe with me in Disney because I'm a really big Disney fanatic. I've only been to Disney one time in my entire life, and that was in 2011 when I took my son. I want to go back, but right now with everything, it may be a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool, and like with the lines and everything, I wouldn't want to go there in the summertime. Put it that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
It was still cool. It was like spring break when we went out there for a week. And I remember I went to Universal Studios one day because I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and I wanted to see Hogwarts, and I thought that was really cool. But once we got to Disney,
just
spread out.
Yeah, just cashing in on that, Sharon. I have actually been to Universal Studios as well. Best 2 weeks of my childhood.
Same.
I had Disney World and Universal Studios. For me, I was in heaven.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Universal's great.
I do have a question.
I think it's highly underrated.
Yeah. Is Disney Quest still there?
Disney Quest? Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Is that still there?
Was that the underwater?
No,
it's where all the arcades were.
Of course, Sharon, you would know about that.
Yeah, come on, mate. Please don't break my heart. Please tell me it's still there.
When I went there, it was still there. That was in
Yes.
2011. I don't think that they're going to take something like that out because it's so classic with video games and everything now. And people still love arcade. I mean, you just pay like one price and you go in there and you play whatever you want, like until you leave. Or
Are you serious? So you just play one price so you can play every video game? Man, why did I know about this? Why did I know about this? Dang,
I'm on my way. I'm bringing my Gold Legend of Zelda wallet. I'm busting out the card. I'm gonna say, I'll tell my wife, hey, you could go wait in all those lines and ride every ride. Like, make you a boyfriend to ride with you. I'll be in here.
Hey man, don't you guys remember like just being dropped off? Your parents would drop you off at the arcade with money and just that was all day thing, man. I miss those times.
Yep.
I remember it back in the old days in good old England. It's a shame there's not. Well, I don't know if there's many arcades around, but it's been a while, and I do miss the old arcade style.
Yeah.
So we're talking about franchises. How do you guys feel about the Transformer franchise? The whole Bumblebee.
I was partial to the first few movies. After that, once they put Mark Wahlberg in, I'm not saying I dislike him as an actor, but once they changed the original characters, I really didn't like it anymore. It's like it didn't do anything for me. I felt like after Shia LaBeouf, I felt like that story was done for me.
Yeah.
What about Bumblebee? Bumblebee, I was like, when I saw Bumblebee, I was like, bring back the 80s Transformers. Like, that's what I want. Like, bring them back. Starscream and...
But it was so slow.
Yeah, right. I'll give you my opinion on those. 1 was good. 2 was kind of good. 3 kind of stretched it out like what's his name? Stretch Armstrong a bit too much. 4 was all right because they were trying to go in a different way. But last night, and what was the last one? Was it Extinction? I did like the idea of Quintessons because they were actually in was it season 3 and 4 of 80s Transformers. But I think the problem with that franchise is Michael Bay. It's basically the same movie. It's lots of action, not much of anything else.
Yeah. Michael Bay just blows things up. They Fast and Furious the Transformers. The first 2 was okay, but then you should have stopped, man. We don't need 10.
Yeah, right.
But I do love the Fast Saga, so I will actually say he has actually got a point with it. But I will differ from his opinion when they should have stopped because they should have kept it realistic. I mean, who the hell has a bloody runway that's literally the size of Europe?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will go with him on that one because if it's supposed to be about what's the word I'm looking for? If it's supposed to be like reality based, you don't get an airfield the size of Europe.
Right.
No. Also in the first movie, in the first Fast and the Furious, they're robbing electronics and illegal street racing.
Yep.
By 5, they're toppling South American governments. I mean, this is not a natural progression.
Right.
Do you guys think how long will the franchise survive post Paul Walker?
If they only do one more, that would be it.
It's a tough question, mate. Because
it's a dead franchise for me. Anyway.
It's a case of how far can the franchise go. I mean, you could probably close out this trilogy with Cypher and everyone, but Universal will probably milk it for every single penny they can. But from a realist point of view, like me, they should probably call it quits after this one or the next one, depending on how they go with story.
Because then they have they had a spinoff, right? Because I know Tyrese and The Rock were going at it because what was the spinoff that they did?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It was great, actually.
I did like it, but at the same time I didn't.
Right.
Because it was more like too sci-fi.
Yeah.
It should be just like grounded in reality. It shouldn't be where Idris Elba is literally a black Superman. Literally.
Right.
Because that for me is just being a bit too ridiculous.
Yeah.
But wait. In Idris Elba's defense, isn't he already in real life pretty much a black Superman?
Yeah, he is. I'll grant
that. Yeah. Idris, and then I want to say that I feel like Vin Diesel, he's either Triple X or I mean, just it's funny to me how you see like the Fast and the Furious was like this, it was like this niche movie of people that like to race, and now it's international. And then just looking at, to me, Vin Diesel is kind of looking tired. Like, okay, it's like he's typecasting in these roles, and it's like, how much can you milk that cow?
Yeah. Right. Do you want to know something about Triple X, Mark? I actually have Triple X's soundtrack in the room in here somewhere.
Hate 3.
What? Oh, 3 was awful. It was awful.
Just ignore me.
To be fair, Triple X 1 was good. 2 was sort of like, right, this is continuing without Vin Diesel, and they should have just left it at either 1 or done something with Vin instead of giving it to Ice Cube. I love Ice Cube, but no.
Yeah.
No.
It didn't match. Ice Cube didn't match in that role. It was just like,
Yeah, I've never seen any.
I went back and watched Triple X, the first one, not too long ago, and it starts off with him jumping a convertible off of a bridge as like an extreme stunt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is not good. When Triple X came out, I loved that movie. I thought it was amazing. And then I'm like, a lot of parts of the movie like that were like real hokey when you look back on them now. We were younger. We had different glasses on at the time, and we saw it differently at the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot. I mean, but on the other hand, I've gone back and watched Vin Diesel in the Pitch Black series.
Oh yeah.
I love Pitch Black.
Yeah.
To me, Vin Diesel in the Pitch Black franchise, that's his thing. Like
his niche.
Okay, so almost anyone can be an action star, but to carry a sci-fi franchise from creation to fruition on your own shoulders is a pretty big deal.
Because you know what? Like he had them cheesy one-liners in Fast and Furious. Mm-hmm. This is Brazil. Like, how many of those can you do? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And then what's her name? When she came back from the dead, his girl, I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah. How you been dead but not been dead for years?
I will say one thing though, chaps, about Fast 6. I was actually watching it in a cinema about 30 miles away from where I live. And you know that bit where Luke Evans basically tells Paul Walker that he's kidnapped his wife? And then when she shouts into it and he goes for him, I had somebody in the very front row, and I kid you not, he went, "Go and kick his fucking ass." He actually said that in the middle of a theatre. I'm like, that is how you are a good baddie. You want that reaction.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel about the evolution of Tyrese and Ludacris in the movie? Their characters.
I was going to say that they're like a modern day Laurel and Hardy, but they're not. They just they just bounce off each other and it does work. But I tell you what is better, when they start fighting over Ramsey, because that is just absolute quality.
Oh, yeah. And then my least favorite one in that franchise was Tokyo Drift. Like, get that one out of there. Little Bow Wow.
I think the problem with that, Mark, was the fact that they basically went from a movie about Brian and Dom to a movie with Brian, and then it just kind of like went on to something else on the other side of the planet.
Well, that was for Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
That was so Vin Diesel could go do Pitch Black too.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
But looking back, when we realised how central a character Han is to everything, you can kind of say and go, yeah, fair enough, I'll accept that. I don't really want to watch it, but I'll accept it as part of folklore. Because it did become part of the folklore for a lot of reasons. Because obviously, the guy who mowed Han down was actually Deckard Shaw.
And the evolution of The Rock and Jason Statham in those movies. Because I feel like it's becoming like an Expendable. It's going to be like the Expendables pretty soon.
They're just a married couple.
Yeah.
There's no words for them.
It's funny, like the fate of those characters. How, like, you know, when we first saw The Rock in the Fast movie, he was kind of like the bad guy, And
Yeah, he
just
was kind
doing
of like a bad guy / hard ass.
And the same thing with Jason Statham. He's kind of the bad guy, but then he kind of joins forces with him. So I'm wondering, like, with this last movie that they got with Charles, how you say the name, Charlize Theron?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I wonder what's going to happen with her.
Just please do not mention John Cena because I would rather eat the cat pan where we talk about him.
And
Was he
John
in-
Cena's in like
I hate
everything
it.
now.
He's good. In fact, Fraser does watch a lot of wrestling. He knows how good he is on a mic, but I absolutely cannot stand him as an actor. All of the
I wouldn't know. I haven't seen
basically
him.
looked like he had a face like a slapped arse.
Oh yeah, and
There was no
Bumblebee.
face.
He reminds me of like Arnold. I mean, Arnold. He was action, but the acting.
Yeah.
At least Arnie turned on the
Yeah.
charm once in a while.
Put in
Yeah.
like the Stepdads, something like that. What was the movie with Mark Wahlberg and my other guy from Saturday Night Live?
Oh, I know you're talking about. You're my boy, Blue.
No, it's not Will Ferrell, is it?
Because he did wind up in there in the not Stepdads. It was
Yeah, it's I know what it
The
is.
other guys? Was it the other
Yeah, the
guys?
old
Ferrell?
The other guy. Yeah. Yeah.
no, not the other guys. It was the movie where like where Mark Wahlberg
Daddy's Home.
was that it?
Something like
Daddy's
that.
Home.
Where yeah, I think it was because
Because
Will
Mel
Ferrell
Gibson
was going out with his ex-wife, and he
Where
apparently
he's the stepdad.
he didn't like it.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
like the situation reversed with him in the second movie because John Cena was the dad and he was the stepdad.
Mm.
I sometimes wish Mark Wahlberg would have punched John Cena in the face.
I don't know, that's a big son of a gun. I'm gonna leave him alone.
So we got
That's why he gets someone else to do it.
we got any other franchises we want to talk about?
I've got a lot to talk about, but for the time being, not really.
We got like 7 minutes left.
Yeah,
Terminators.
I think that would take a lot of time because
Right.
I could just
So-
go through them all.
Terminator 2, and that's it. The other one's is a blur.
C1, C2, absolute brilliant. 3 just lowered the bar. 4 was
Salvation.
oh my god! Oh, don't talk to me about
What
that.
about Genesis? Genesis was
a good
absolutely
idea.
the worst one.
It was a good idea.
What's
it was
that?
good in theory. However,
Right,
reality, far from it.
Yeah.
right. I agree. It was a great idea. There was some good things floating around, but I think by far it was the worst Terminator movie. And I was disappointed. It had Matt Smith. It had Emilia Clarke. I thought it was going to be a banger.
And what do you think about Dark Fate? Which is supposed to be the
I'm glad you said that. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But I think for me, no matter what you would have put together, first thing everyone would say is T2 was better.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah,
that's what I say.
Nothing
This
tops
Problem
this
is
day.
with that franchise, no matter what you did after T2, it was always going to be compared to
downhill.
that, and the bar was too far high.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the one
We've
thing
all
that
got-
the one thing I like about the ones that they came out with is how they with the CGI they made a young looking. They all made the characters younger, like they kind of did with Star Wars with Princess Leia. But it's just like I'm like, okay, the robot ages now. Like Arnold could get old, and I mean the first two, like the first one was like a horror movie, man. This dude was scary as hell, and the second one just was ahead of the time.
Worse as well, and everything Stan Winston did in the first one just literally would give kids nightmares because it was that good.
Yep.
Right.
The one thing about that movie that still gets me today is when he plops his eyeball out.
Oh yeah. And he cut his hand open, his arm. You know, that creeped me out because I mean he was just like randomly killing everybody like named Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
Just blows him away, man. That movie creeped me out as a child. The second one got me because of the nuclear warfare.
Yeah.
That kind of creeped me out a lot because you know we had that capability to do stuff like that. And they were always talking about wait till somebody pushes the red button, you know. It's like okay, and then you see this movie and all of a sudden you see LA get obliterated by a bomb.
Oh yeah.
But, right. I'll tell you what though. In Terminator Salvation, I do like how they put the scary version of Arnold back in. You know, at the very end when he's fighting, I thought that was creepy. You know, to see that again.
I think that's probably the only good thing about that I liked.
I was obsessed with Terminator 2 when they just showed brief glimpses of the future. Like, to me, I thought Terminator 2 was great, but I wanted Terminator 3 to be all set in that future where we could see just the robots walking through the destruction of what used to exist. Like, that's what captured my imagination the most. Like, I wanted the future movies.
Yeah.
That's what they did with Salvation. You know, it was the future. It was like after the bomb. But, I mean, it was. I feel like it should have had a lot more robots, you know, but, you know, that costs money, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of where Genesis went wrong, because you had a T-1000 and he was, done in about, 2 minutes? And it took Arnie 2.5 hours to get rid of him in T2.
Yeah. Right. Well, ladies and gents, we got about 3 minutes left. This is the 3-minute call. Again, thank you, guys, for being on the show. Another Final Cut. We talking about franchises. I guess in the 3 minutes, honorable mention, Resident Evil.
Would you like me to hit my head against the wall now that you've just said that?
Look, let me give an honorable mention to the Cube series. Highly underrated, man. Yeah. 3 movies filmed in 1 room per movie, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Gave us David Hewlett, the actor. I love the Cube movies. My wife is like, oh, this is garbage, like, whatever. I prefer plot and acting and story over special effects and stuff. So, to me, the Cube movies are top-notch.
I have actually seen one of the Cube movies, and I did not expect that to go the way it did, and I didn't expect it to be as, like, not so much dreadful as in the movie's dreadful, but dread, like, every single room you go in can literally kill you, whether you know it or not.
Right.
I think
if you can find it on Amazon or Netflix or anywhere, I would definitely recommend watching it, because, like Bill said, it's underrated a lot.
I know this one is horror, but one of my favorites is Return of the Living Dead. You know, I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
Which one's that one, Sharon?
This was the one where it had Miguel Nunez, and they were
brains.
Yeah, I remember our first time watching it. I mean, it was actually more funny than it was scary. But that was one of my favorite horror movies. Like when I saw it, like when I was in maybe 3rd grade, we rented the tape, and that was the brains. You know, they were stuck in the mortuary, and I think by the end of the movie they had to bomb everything, and all of a sudden that's how it ended. But it just basically restarted everything, and the movie just ends. But yeah.
So it's a 80s horror movie. Basically, these guys go by a cemetery, and they have this chemical that can bring the dead back to life, and they just crave brains. But it's
ADT.
They're not.
But on that note, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, you just talked to the Arcade Cabinet crew and Dean. Another episode of Final Cut. Thank you for listening, and check us out. That's all I got for closing. Anybody else going to say anything before we close out?
Yeah. If you like what you've heard, I am on Final Cut Reviews on Facebook, and I'm also on Final Cut Talk on Twitter, and Final Cut Gaming. I am working on an Instagram, so that should be up pretty soon.
I'm Bill Tindo. You can find me on the Arcade Cabinet. Where we podcast regularly. We're also video streaming here on the Nias Media Roku channel. Feel free to check that out. Also on Instagram and YouTube.
And I'm Sharon Harrington. You can also catch me on the Arcade Cabinet, and you can check out my artwork on Facebook, Sharon Art, and also Sharon Art Store and Etsy.